Well, first of all, I mean, no, this isn't meant as a swipe on you, but the war porn of looking at things blow up and counting bodies is totally irrelevant to what's happening here. This is a regime change operation. And that's all people should be focused about, because everything else is simply a distraction. You can easily match the missile strikes on Israel and on Gulf Arab states with the complete devastation of downtown Tehran that's taking place as we speak, and other Iranian cities as well. The reality is this conflict has unleashed weapons of extraordinary lethality, and each side is going to keep trading blows, and so we're just going to get more of this and more of this and more of this, and it's viscerally pleasing, I guess, in a sort of sickening way to watch this, depending on which side of the aisle you're on. I'm sure the anti-Islamic regime people are just thrilled every time they see a giant cloud of smoke rising from Tehran or other Iranian cities. Tragically, one of those clouds of smoke hit a children's school, and over 100 little girls are dead. But the bloodthirsty warmongers don't seem to care about that. And of course, those who believe that the U.S. and Israeli aggression against Iran is illegal, unjustified, uncalled for, silently cheer every time Iran strikes a blow against their attackers. But this isn't what this is about. This isn't about body counts. This isn't about the accumulation of destroyed facilities, etc. This is about regime change. This is a regime change operation. And this operation began with a decapitation strike against Iran. It was the most predictable decapitation strike in the history of decapitation strikes. I mean, even an analyst as misguided as me, according to many in your chat, called it accurately. I said the first thing that will happen is that they will kill Ali Khamenei. It's an absolutely essential part of their plan, because they want to create the impression of a weakened Islamic Republic, and then they will suppress. And that's what's happening today, is the ongoing bombardment of Iranian Revolutionary Guard Command and Basij and police facilities in and around Tehran and other cities, so that the Iranian people can do the bidding of Donald Trump, who in his 8-minute statement announcing this conflict on his social media platform, Truth Social, said, America will do its job. We will blow these people up, kill these people. But then it's up to you, the Iranian people, to rise up and take matters into your own hand. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You must do this. So we know what's at stake here, regime change. But we also, therefore, see the fatal flaw in the American plan. The first 6 bombs that struck Iran killed Ali Khamenei and a number of Iranian officials that were around him. The first 6 bombs. And those first 6 bombs spelled the doom of the American effort. We lost the war at that moment because we don't understand anything. To all the ignorant people in your chat and in other people's chat and around the world, if you want to discredit Ali Khamenei, you keep him alive. You have him running from bunker to bunker to bunker while Iran is destroyed. You show his impotence as a leader, and then you openly mock this impotence on social media abroad, promoting the strength of those whom you seek to replace him with. For instance, the Shah's son, Reza Pahlavi, could get on the air over and over again and say, where is Ali Khamenei? Where is your supreme leader? Hiding in a bunker while you pay the price for his sins. That's how you destroy Ali Khamenei. Do people know anything about the Shia faith? All you haters in the chats out there? Do you know jack squat about it? Do you know what the Battle of Karbala is? 10 October, I think, 688, something like that. Do you know who Hussein is? Hussein, leading the faithful in the Battle of Karbala, was martyred at the hands of, the unbelievers. Do you know who Ali is? Do you know the significance of the last posting on Ali Khamenei's X account, where they invoke Ali? You just made a martyr of one of the most important religious figures in the Shia faith, second only to Sistani out of Najaf, the Twelver. Do you guys even know what Twelvers are? If I say Twelver, are the ignorant people out there promoting this conflict, do you even know what I'm talking about? If you don't, that's why we lost. See, the Twelver faith is the largest branch of the Shia faith, and it deals with succession of the caliphate, etc. You guys can Google it. You can look it up, do your own research. But the fact is that you don't know about it. Donald Trump doesn't know about it. Pete Hegseth certainly doesn't know about it. And anybody who planned this attack doesn't know about it. If the goal was to empower the Iranian people who are opposed to the regime of the Islamic Republic to rise up in the streets and take matters into their own hands, look at the streets of Iran today.
I have video, Scott. I have video. I can show.
Show the streets of Iran. And I don't mean to be too insulting, Danny, but I'm in an insulting mood. I was up all day talking about this, reading about this, writing about this, and I've just basically had it up to here with stupidity. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn off your comments, because otherwise I'm just going to go ape shit at some of the stupidity that's there.
It's a large crowd today, Scott. It's a large crowd, so we're going to get a lot of
stupid. Sure, there's smart people in there too, but my God, I've never seen such ignorance in my entire life. So,
right.
And it's not just here, it's everywhere. Judge Napolitano has a very large and active audience, many of whom are just stupid and ignorant, like the many people in this audience. You don't know what you're talking about. You literally don't know what you're talking about. Iran is a constitutional republic, an Islamic republic, but a constitutional republic. And therefore, does anybody realize what just happened? Because constitutionally, when the supreme leader, Vilayat-e Faqih, guardian of the supreme jurisprudence. Do you even know what this is, you stupid people? Donald Trump, the leader of the stupid people. Do you know what this is? And do you know what happens when he dies? They form a special committee, the president, the head of the judiciary, and somebody appointed by the Assembly of Experts. Do you guys know what that is? No, you don't, do you? No, you guys are just so stupid. The Assembly of Experts, who will designate the next supreme leader in consultation, but they will appoint somebody on this three-person committee to continue the government of Iran. Now, the person that they have appointed, again, how stupid can people be? If the purpose of this strike was to create the conditions in which Iran could not have a nuclear bomb, you just killed the one man that stopped Iran from having a nuclear bomb. Has any of you brilliant chatmeisters studied the build-up to the 12-day war in June and what was going on there, the internal discussion and debates taking place in Iran about whether or not they should, in fact, build a nuclear bomb to deter the very kind of action that's taking place today? And at the end of the day, and I got this personally from the Iranian president, who is still alive, he told me in a question I asked him in September, he said, we don't want a nuclear bomb. He said there's two things. One, secularly speaking, we view the path to a nuclear bomb to be suicidal, that we only invite our own destruction. But he said, as importantly, or even more importantly, from a religious standpoint, the supreme leader has issued not one but two fatwas, or religious edicts, saying that the pursuit of a nuclear bomb is incompatible with Islam. And therefore, Iran is not pursuing a nuclear bomb. Do you guys know the guy they just appointed to be the new supreme leader designate? He thinks differently. You see, he actually is a part of the Shia faithful who believe that even though the original fatwa, which was put out by the Ayatollah Khomeini, not Khamenei, but Khomeini, again, idiots, look it up. He said, no, we're not going to pursue it. It's incompatible with Islam. Ali Khamenei continued this, saying this is the desire. But theologists, when you look at the Shia faith, you have the ability. First of all, the thing about the Shia faith, I'm just going to give these ignorant people a little quick class here. You know how you become an Ayatollah in the Shia faith? you spend about 30 to 40 years studying, the Quran, studying the Hadith. But you have a final test you have to pass, you see, because the Shia faith is very democratic. If you want to become a grand Ayatollah, you have to form what's known as a marja. A marja, or you have to become a marja through a hauza. You have to basically rally people to your cause. You have to show yourself to be worthy of the faithful. So you will pick an element of Islamic jurisprudence and you will write your interpretation of it, because you are, after all, a great religious scholar. So you pick something, music on the radio. How is it compatible with Islam? And you write this up and you put it out there, and the people read it and they say, "War for my country." You can't celebrate anything that results in the death of the men and women who put on that uniform, and yet they're dying. The Defense Department, I call it the Defense Department. Legally, that's what it is. It's not a War Department. That title doesn't exist under law. But the Defense Department has acknowledged at least the deaths of at least 3 American servicemen, they said, in combat operations against Iran. We don't know if they died on the ground in Iran, because there's ongoing raids taking place that's outside the scope of what most people are talking about. Special operation forces are on the ground. I think there was an attempt to raid one of those underground missile cities that didn't go well, and we had to withdraw. So there's this activity. We can say, like I do, that I don't want the Iranian regime to collapse, but I will never cheerlead in favor of the death of any American at all, ever. And yet that's the situation we're in right now, where Americans are dying. And then again, how can you cheerlead for what America is doing? Because one of the first missiles that struck Iran hit a secondary school, and over 100 children, schoolgirls, ages between 6 and 12, are dead. Imagine being a mother who sent their children to school that morning because you believed there would be peace, because the United States was engaged in a legitimate negotiation. Marco Rubio announced he was traveling to Israel on Monday, and therefore, of course, there can't be a war if Marco Rubio is traveling. So in good consciousness, he said, "I'm sending my children to school so they can become educated, become have a brighter future." And you send them to school only to have an Israeli missile hit that school and kill virtually everybody inside that school. You can't celebrate this. You can't celebrate any aspect of this. And yet here we are, because of the stupidity of a president who is guided by the stupidity of his political faithful, who are as ignorant as the day is long about the world we live in.
Yeah, no, I mean, anyone, the Donald Trump administration, of course, all the warmongers, the hawks, they've put, regardless of whatever you think of the U.S. bases there, whether they should be there or not, they've now put the U.S., everyone who's there, they've put them under heavy fire. I mean, this is what's happening. And maybe you can also comment on this air defense question, Scott, because there are videos everywhere coming out. Where does this factor in? I'll just show one. This is Bahrain, and we know that Iran has taken particular attention to the facility there, to the naval facility there. Here's just the image.
For the signing ceremony at $620 each. But we weren't serious about the nuclear program. We're using it as a subterfuge to do the Israeli-pleasing regime change operation, which has now failed. But it not only failed in terms of failing to get rid of the regime, but that nuclear program could very well become active. I want to ask all the morons in your chat, what is the status of the 60% enriched uranium that we failed to destroy in Donald Trump's first attack against Iran? We didn't know where it is. We don't know where it is. Do you think we're getting it today? And if we don't get it, do you think Iran may have, over the period of time, sequestered away enough final manufacturing capacity to convert that into at least 5 or 10 nuclear bombs the size of Hiroshima? But you don't know, do you? Because you're stupid. You're as stupid as the president is. I'm sorry, Danny, I shouldn't be insulting your audience or any audience, but I'm so fed up because it is because of the ignorance of people like this that the president believes he has legitimacy to do what he's doing. We have stupid people out there that don't think through the problem, who are ignorant of the problem. And, I'm just fed up with them because, we are looking at a world that's going to hell. The defeat of America, as pleasing as it may be to, the pro-Iranian community out there, if you're an American patriot, you can't want this. You cannot be seeking this. If you're somebody like me who actually took the oath, swore allegiance, put on the uniform, and went, and now we have to reallocate resources to continue hunting down the regime. And so we have already put ourselves behind the 8 ball, and we're chasing something that we'll never catch up to because we don't have time. We don't have time because we don't have the resources. We don't have the ammunition. We're burning through our ammunition at rates that we'll never be able to replenish. And it's not just what we're doing against Iran, what Iran is doing against us. By continuing to fly these attacks, they are sucking up resources. Over 1,000 Iranian missiles were launched on day one. The average expenditure rate for the air defense is 3 to 4 missiles per missile. That means that we have burned through 3,000 to 4,000 interceptor missiles. And the missiles are still flying. The Iranians have planned a campaign that will last months. We have the ability to sustain this for maybe another week. And then we run out of missiles. We got nothing left. Nothing. And just again, for all you genius geopolitical analysts out there, when I say nothing, that means we have nothing in the Pacific. What would happen if China decided they wanted to take Taiwan right about now? We got nothing. All our cruise missiles are being chewed up. All our interceptor missiles are gone. What would happen? I mean, Russia's not going to do it, but if Russia wanted to make a move on Europe, we got nothing. Nothing. This is the stupidity of this. We gambled everything to achieve what? To make Israel happy. The Iranians had agreed to, there's a wonderful post on X written by one of the diplomatic advisors to the ruler of Oman, who was managing this negotiation. And he talks about what had been accomplished. And he said that the deal that was agreed to by the Iranians got rid of their nuclear enrichment program and everything but name only. Meaning that if you wanted to ensure that Iran would never have a nuclear weapon, this was the deal. This would have been Donald Trump's great peacemaking diplomatic victory. Peace through strength. Threaten an attack. Get the Iranians at the table and get them under pressure to agree to something so fundamental that you could stand up legitimately and say, there will never be an Iranian nuclear, because there are no sunset clauses in this, unlike the JCPOA, which aged out. This one is permanent forever. And the Iranians had agreed to it. It was in writing. They were moving to a signing ceremony. This guy talks about how he ordered 12 Mont Blanc Meisterstück pens. Achieve that, and then we take these resources and reapply them, part of a planned process to achieve the next and the next and the next and the next. But what happens, and it happened in the Gulf War, where, for instance, we had resources, 2 F-15E Strike Eagle squadrons that were applied to one of the primary phase 1 objectives of suppressing Iraqi ballistic missile launch capability in western Iraq. And we send them out to strike fixed arm launchers and hit up mobile launch sites. And according to the plan, we were supposed to have achieved all this on the second day. First day of primary strikes, second day of restrikes, and then we have wipe that target deck off, and we move these squadrons over to their next mission assignments, which await them outside of Basra and outside of Baghdad. But we didn't destroy anything. The missiles kept launching. So we had to keep these F-15E squadrons on target and reinforce them, diverting resources away from the other target decks to go down this route, and it degraded the strategic air campaign. But at that time, we had sufficient resources. We had a lot of airplanes, a lot of bombs. So we just lengthened the strategic air campaign, and we rode out this problem set. Here we have a strategic campaign that is crippled from the start by insufficient resources. The admiral that was fired said, we don't have enough airplanes and we don't have enough bombs, so we can't do what you want us to do. But the others came in and said, no, we've planned this very carefully. We are going to kill a bunch of people. The first 6 bombs are going to kill Khamenei and 40 people, and that will cascade the collapse of the regime, and then we move to suppression of the security forces, and then we achieve regime change, and we win. And Trump can do his stupid little Trump YMCA moronic dance. So they fired a whole bunch of missiles to achieve regime change. If you heard what we just said, I hope the audience is listening. The regime has not collapsed. It has fallen on the Constitution, and the president of Iran sits at the head of a 3-person succession committee until they elect a new supreme leader. There is the Assembly of Experts, which, by the way, is democratically elected. I want to remind all you haters out there that Iran is probably the most successfully functioning democracy in the Middle East. And they elect the assembly of experts who then, through the will of the people, monitor the supreme leader and will select the new supreme leader. And the regime continues. It's there. It's viable. It is functioning. We failed in regime change. So all of those resources that we used up on day one are gone. You say their operations aren't being disrupted. Of course they are. Iran's being pounded by the most technologically advanced militaries in the world. The Israeli military, which achieved its technological prominence because of American weaponry, and the United States, which, of course, when you pour in nearly $1 trillion a year, or 1.5 trillion if this budget goes through, you better have advanced weapons. And so we are inflicting death and destruction on Iran as we speak. But Iran is a very large nation, 4 times the size of Iraq, 90 million population, that have now, again, threatening to bomb people to death in a nation that reveres martyrdom is really the dumbest path to take. As you said, Ali Khamenei opted to stay at home and do his business from home together with people who believe the same thing because they are leaders. They are going to lead by example. And the example for Iran to set right now is their willingness to absorb the damage inflicted by the evil modern day Umayyads, Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, because they believe in the end that they will emerge victorious. So we are blowing things up, but the Iranians are responding, and they're responding in a way that took everybody off guard, because I think most people thought that Iran would respond directly to Israel, and then there would be a sort of an escalation ladder taking place as they started to strike one American base, then another, in an effort to get the United States and Israel to the negotiating table. But Iran literally just went out and hit everything. And even the Trump administration, we didn't expect this to happen. They've hit us in a way that nobody's ever hit us before, and they're sustaining that. Yes, we are blowing things up, but if we don't understand that for the last 20 years, Iran has been preparing for this very scenario, that Iran understands better than we do what we do. They will take losses, but they will continue to launch as we're seeing now. And they have prepared stockpiles that are successfully hidden, sequestered, spread out, that they'll be able to draw upon for months. We, on the other hand, will run out of ammunition in weeks. And again, we look at regime change just to look at coming at from a targeting perspective. Again, for the ignorant masses in your chat and everybody else's chat, I used to do this for a living, so shut up and listen. When we prepare a strategic air campaign of this nature, we have objectives that we want to reach. We say that by this period of time, we should achieve this results. Then we move to this, move that, and it's sort of a campaign of sequential events that build up on one another till you get to the culminating moment, which is the collapse of the enemy that you were targeting. We have a finite amount of resources. So we take these resources and we allocate them accordingly. We put them on, for instance, the first phase, the first goal objective to achieve. Then we will run out of ammunition before they run out of resistance. And then we lose this war. And when we lose this war, the American people will be awoken to the reality that Donald Trump is not the president of peace, but he is a pro-Israeli warmonger that put Israel above American interests, sacrificed the lives of Americans, slaughtered innocent Iranians. These dead school children will become sort of the poster child of the perfidy of the United States, who once again used diplomacy as a means of setting up a surprise attack. We will never be trusted by anybody again, nor should we. But this is the end of Donald Trump. His regime will collapse in the midterm elections, and he will spend the last 2 years of his presidency being impeached. And if this war goes bad enough, maybe being convicted and being hauled out of the White House in an orange jumpsuit in handcuffs, because that is his faith. Regime change. This is going to be one of the most successful regime change operations in the history of regime change operations, but is literally a self-inflicted wound by Donald Trump on his own political legacy.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate all that, Scott. I think it's really important, especially for American audiences, to hear exactly what you just said. And I want to just pull up just to emphasize
the reality this Islamic Republic is not built on the backs of one man. It's built on the back of a constitution that is being applied as we speak. No deviation from the Constitution whatsoever. Things are going exactly the way the Constitution says it must happen, and on the backs of the faithful. And you just empowered the faithful to say, we need nuclear weapons. Now, we're in a very dangerous position, but let's continue down the path of regime change for a second. You see, regime change is a double-edged sword. Donald Trump unsheathed it, along with Israel, and sought to wield it against the Iranians. But it cuts both ways. Donald Trump lost the war on day one, the first 6 bombs that fell on Iran. He lost the war, which means there will be regime change in the United States before there's regime change in Iran. Donald Trump's cult of personality will not survive the midterm elections, because in order to win the midterm elections, Donald Trump needed to deliver a very quick, relatively bloodless war to the American people, one that accomplished what no other American president in 47 years has been able to do. But instead, he's going to go down the path of yet another failed president who's gotten the United States involved in a long, drawn-out war that we won't win. We will lose. We don't know how many lives we will lose, but it'll be devastating. The Iranians will not buckle. There will be no popular uprising in Iran to overthrow the regime. Ali Khamenei is a martyr now, a martyr of the significance of Hussein himself, a martyr that in the eyes of the Shia faithful is the equal to Ali. That's why the last posting on his X account invoked Ali, a symbol of defiance. And so the Shia faithful will rally around Ali Khamenei, a man who was, 88 years old at his death?
I think 86, but close.
86. Had disease. His biggest fear was to die a fragile old man. He said he wanted to go out a martyr. People keep saying, why did he stay in his residence knowing what was going to happen? Why did Hussein lead the charge against the unfaithful in the Battle of Karbala? Because he chose martyrdom. He chose martyrdom as a way of exposing the lack of Islamic adherence on the part of the Umayyad caliphs. He chose martyrdom to protect his followers who were seeking to flee from the battle. Ali Khamenei, this frail old man, didn't want to die hiding in a bunker, allowing his legacy to be tarnished by those who diminished him through that action. Ali Khamenei sat down with a circle of fellow martyrs. Everybody at that meeting knew what was going to happen. And they knew that through their sacrifice, they would elevate the cause of the Islamic Republic back into the heart and soul of the Iranian people, and that is manifest today. Ali Khamenei chose martyrdom. We gave it to him because we are truly the stupidest people on the planet. We don't know anything about the people that we seek to engage in combat with. We disrespect their faith. We disrespect everything about them. And what's going to happen has been actually preordained by American admirals. Trump fired the director of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for having the temerity to say, we don't have enough ammunition to finish this job. Yeah. We're going to start something and we can't finish it. If we don't get this quick revolution in the streets, and the Iranians decide to resist, they say, wow, I like the way this guy thinks. I like the approach this guy's taking. And then they come to your marja and you develop a flock. And if you show that you can develop a flock, a self-sustaining flock, because they rely on donations and the whole thing, then you've passed that hurdle and you can move up. But what happens if you publish your little thesis and the people read it and they go, nah, not buying this one, and you got nothing, you failed the test. Now, Ali Khamenei has said that the fatwa, no nuclear weapons. But the point is, in the Shia faith, the role of Islam in society is not dictated by what happened during the time of Muhammad or Ali or Hussein. It's dictated on modern realities. And so those people who, the Shia understand that you can say one thing and say 1700, and it no longer applies today because society has changed, times have changed. And in that debate leading up to the 12-Day War, in the reaffirmation by Ali Khamenei and the president that they do not seek a nuclear bomb, there were many theological scholars who were advising Khamenei that you could change your fatwa if the conditions surrounding the issuance of the original fatwa were no longer in play. For instance, if Iran was threatened by Israel, who has nuclear weapons, Iran would be able to reconsider this fatwa and under extraordinary circumstances determine that Iran could have a nuclear weapon. The guy who was making that argument is now the senior Islamic cleric in Iran. You stupid idiots. The man who believes that Iran has a right to have a nuclear bomb is now the guy that interprets the Islamic faith for the Islamic Republic. And the people of Iran are in the streets saying, this is what we want. How stupid can you be? Well, the answer is extraordinarily stupid. And so now we see the